Hey guys and girls, welcome to Take for Take. I'm posting another video in a direct response to the death battle with Yuji versus Denji. Okay, so there's a lot of discourse about that. So once again, I'm going to reiterate that I don't think that it's a just flat out win for Yuji, right? I mean, Denji becomes very strong at this point, and you know he's a monster. He's a monster, bro. Like, let's just be real. He's a monster. Like, it's okay. All right. And I'm a JJK fan for sure. I'm a fan of both series, but definitely a JJK fan through and through. All right. So I think we just need to realize that like it's like people saying that this smoke is over. That's not always the case. I think there's a good valid argument for both parties to possibly win, but the thing I don't like what Death Battle did is it was more heavily favored for Denji, especially with the fight itself. It's kind of odd because if things were allowed in the fight, especially the domain expansion stuff like that, that should have went a whole different way. Um, but let's go ahead and get into this because Denji's victory rests on calculations, right? And that's what Death Battle do. They ignore like the established rules of Chainsaw Man, and Chainsaw Man's one of them things where it's hard to really amount because it's the amount the ability of how many people believe in you or fear you essentially, right? So let's say, all right, so the first feat we're talking about the War Devil manifests a state of Oregon, spinal cord sword, and swings it at Denji who manages to block and counter it. Death Battle says that the calculation of the kinetic energy is of 100 square mile landmass to 30,000 megatons. Um, Here's the thing: it's concept, not physics, right? So let me put it like this: Devil power is based on fear, like I said beforehand. So it's not really based on purely physical strength. Like Maki Bang is one example for it. It's force applied from a distance, but not exactly a physical projectile, right? It just happens. We've seen it, boom, it happens. So I think that kind of like these certain abilities can ignore the physical of the character, physicality of the character. And I always say that destructive power doesn't mean that you're necessarily stronger than a person. You have a hack that's strong, but if someone also has one of them things that's very the best words for it is very, I'm not gonna say tricky, but I'm not gonna say a gimmick either. But it's one of those things that if somebody got a special and the ability that keeps them alive or they can get you, then hey, it may be GG's. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna move that. We're gonna go to the next thing, we're gonna go to speed, the moon flag. So so how can I put this? The death battle argument is that 10-second time frame to the flag's journey, calculating Denji's reaction speed to be over 12% of light speed. Um, and yes, I'm reading that because these are notes that I took after reading it and going through the comments because these were the things that people were like really upset about, especially about the speed blitz and stuff like that. Um, I don't think it's a strong enough basis to talk about the 10-second time frame. More importantly, the flag physically traveling what 238,000 miles, something like that, surviving all that stuff, manifest terrible, manifest other abilities for the devil to teleport and things like that. And I'm just going based off the video itself, right? So I'm kind of I'm not gonna say I'm kind of confused, but I see where they kind of went with that essentially. But I still think that's absolutely like it's a reaction speed. It doesn't mean that every single thing is 12% higher than light speed. Okay, because we've seen for you definitely for the Chainsaw Man fans, they've seen, watched, read multiple times where this man has not moved at light speed. Granted, this is way further down the line, but we haven't gotten an anime for it yet. But I mean, I'll leave that you all for interpretation because that's kind of what it's back. Um, I just think that that's more so speaks on Denji instincts, but I don't think it's relatively like more so a speed feat. I think that means that him and Yuji boxing should have been a lot better, in my honest opinion. And I mean not defending Denji for that one. Now this brings to my biggest thing is when we was talking about the hacks, the gimmicks, and stuff like that. They underplay the shit out of Yuji soul base, like slash the concept of his character, like his soul damaging, like attacks, right? So they're suggesting that Denji's superior healing could handle the damage. That's not it, gang. That's not it. Soul damage is not physical. It attacks the blueprint of the human being or the being itself. Denji heals because Pochita is a devil nature and it regenerates his physical body. But Yuji punches bypass the body and to strike the soul. And honestly, base contract they were buying him. So in this attack, when he's attacking Denji, I don't, maybe if I don't remember, like I know Denji and Pochita have worked separate before when they thought they severed later down the line, but I've seen it once, or read it once. But there's not a lot of feats that Denji is just resisting. And it negates the healing factor. There's a lot of stuff that Yuji should have gotten over in this fight, in my opinion. Honestly, especially with the soul splitting thing, and we're not even talking about the prior Yuji, like the older Yuji, because there was some. If you go back and watch the video, they're talking about Mojito later down the line. They're using it in a different series as a continuation of JJK. So now you're confusing the fans of, are we using peak Yuji or are we using Yuji at the end of the JJK verse? Which I personally think it should be peak versus peak, especially since both of the series like pseudo ended. So I mean, I don't know what we're doing here, but we'll try to go based off what they say. Next thing is domain expansion. All right, so they missed the entire point of a domain expansion, right? Like, if you all watch the video, I'm not going to give you a dragged on like history lesson of what's what, right? Because you have an idea, you already know. But inside Yuji's domain, including Shrine, like it wouldn't just be physical slashes. Even at the end of JJK, essentially, like the concept of dismantle, he was attacking the soul and whatever in the Satin, that was different from him and Sukuna, right? So durability or the conventional stand that they try to use doesn't apply here. All right, it doesn't apply here. And the question is not like, can Denji survive being cut, but can Denji's soul and body resist the absolute law of being dismantled? Cut you physically, cutting your soul. And to me, that's essentially checkmate. It would be a Pochita versus Yuji fight, and that'll just be another conversation. But them separate and Denji dying would be something, yeah, completely different. So, I mean, all in all, I think the biggest things is the durability and relating it to speed are the big things. The do calculation thing, I don't have too much on that because that's how they operate. So I cannot be mad at them. But for that, but the two biggest things is Yuji ability to damage the soul is absolutely down fucking played. And Yuji domain expansion is absolutely downplaying because it's just not everything is a surefire hit. It's the domain expansion does way more for the individual that is letting it go, or usually is the one that's applying it. It traps them in a dimension where the user rule techniques are absolute. Like there is no absolute unless someone has a stronger domain expansion to fight yours. So all I ask is that battle to just make it fair. That's it. All in all, still good vids. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if this is what you like. I know this is going to rub people the wrong way. A lot of people, but I'm here for it. It's just to have the conversation. All right. See y'all in the next video. Peace.